Hello, everybody. My name is Royce. I'm the community liaison for Cowboy Community Action. And this is another segment of Did You Know with Cowboy Community Action. And with me today, I have the pleasure of having my boss, Mr. Larry Hall. He's the Associate Director and Operations Director for Cowboy Community Action. He's been with us for a long time, haven't you, Larry?
I have.
You're not a newbie. So, and you know, part of the purpose of these interviews is, you know, just to let the folks know, we have a lot of people that work for Cowboy and we cover a lot of counties. And so some of the folks out here that are working for us may not even know what you look like or, you know, anything about you, or, I mean, they know that you're the operations director, but, you know, this kind of gives the folks out there a little bit of knowledge about your background and things like that. So that's the reason for this. And it's great. And so I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me, Larry, today. First thing I want to do is just to have you to tell me about yourself, tell me about your family, and kind of a little bit of background that way.
Okay, well, a little bit about me. I'm a Stiglerite. I grew up in Stigler, graduated in 1969. Stigler Panther. Mm-hmm. I have one brother and 2 kids and 3 grandkids. Mm-hmm. My mom is still living at 89 years old and lives in Stigler, and she lives in the house I grew up in.
That's awesome. And she's a great cook. I know that.
She is a great cook. So my kids, one daughter and son-in-law live in Tahlequah with 2 grandkids. I have one as a sophomore at Oklahoma State University. Go Pokes!
I knew you'd get that in there somewhere.
And then I have a daughter and son-in-law in Fort Smith with one granddaughter at Trinity, and very blessed. I got a great family unit, and
you do, and you have a beautiful family. A beautiful family. Your grandkids are good looking. Your daughters are beautiful. Now, I don't, you know, the son-in-laws, we won't go there, but you've got a beautiful mother, you know, and your brother. I mean, you're just very blessed. You and I are both blessed to have really good family.
I certainly am. And my dad passed away in 2005, and that's what brought me back to Oklahoma.
Right.
I actually lost my grandmother and my dad a day apart in 2005. And so that's what triggered coming back to this part of the country.
We're going to go back to that, Larry.
Okay.
You're jumping the gun on me. So, okay, you graduated in 69 and you went to college. Did you go to OSU?
I went to Oklahoma State, and then my second semester, my freshman year, I was offered a scholarship to play baseball at Eastern. So I went back to Eastern and I finished there with an associate's degree, and then went on up back to Oklahoma State and finished up after that. But I was at Eastern for a year and a half in Wilburton, and enjoyed it. We had a good baseball team back then. And so then I went back and finished at Stillwater.
Okay, so how long have you actually worked? And we're going to combine all the years. Like, what year did you go to work for Cowboy Community Action?
I came to work in 1981.
1881? I knew you'd been here a long time.
1981.
1981.
And worked until 95. And then for 10 years, I was in the public transportation arena in both Tulsa and Fort Worth. And then 2005, like I said, with losing my dad and coming back, being close to mom, I came back to Oklahoma, and unfortunately there was a position in Cowboys that I could come back into. So
you could just take up where you left off. Although it was in a different role, but anyhow, it's still with this great company that we work for. Okay, so since 81, so this is 40 years for you to be associated with Cowboy Community Action.
Yes, it is.
You know, there are so many folks, Larry, and we've talked about this with Carol and talked about it with Charlotte, that it's not unusual in our company to have folks that work 15, 20, 25, 30, 40. Carol's been here over 50 years. And, you know, that just shows the strength in our organization that we have. It's a good place to work. We do good things, and it's just the best. And I can't brag on it enough.
Well, it is a great place to work, and it's, you know, we are a family. We have Cowboys family, and the fact that we help people and do things to assist people to improve their life. And then
Right.
I do think that it does give you a sense of accomplishment, and also makes you feel like you're making a difference. And that's ultimately what we all try to do,
Right.
treat people with respect and assist them as best we can.
Yeah, and we do a great job here of doing that. Now, prior to becoming, actually coming to Cowboy, what other jobs did you have? So so if you were in school for 4 years, that took you up to about 73 or 74. So from 74 to 81, what did you do for a living?
I actually was selling real estate and houses in Oklahoma and Kansas. I started at Purdue Housing right out of college as a salesman here in Stigler, and then transferred to Chickasha as sales manager. And then after that, there was some former co-workers that were having a startup company in Great Bend, Kansas, called Mastercraft Homes, and they lured me up there to sell houses. And so I lived in Great Bend, and from Great Bend it expanded into Hutchinson, Kansas, and I was there for 4 years in Hutchinson. And during that time was the spawning of the variable rate interest program, which, when, now it's low, but at that time it got up to 15, 16, 17% interest, and no one could afford a house.
Right.
And unfortunately, the company went out of business. And so here I was with 2 small kids, and thought I'd come back to Stigler, and I kicked around for about 6 months, and really looking for things. I was in sales primarily, and ran into Carol, and I've known Carol for years through JC's and other organizations. And he said, "Have you ever done any grant writing?" And I said, not officially, but I made presentations and things all through my career. He said, "Well, I have this grant that it's called Rural Transit, and if you're interested, we could bring you on. You could write that grant, and if it's funded, then we would need a director for the program." Well, I didn't know much about it, but when you're looking for work, and at that time in 1981, and
Sounded good,
it
didn't
was close to home, and so yeah, I did. Well, luckily, I wrote the grant, and it was funded. That was the start of Cowboy Area Transit in 1981. Actually, the transit program actually started in October of '82.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time we got the grant in place and so forth, and we started with 7 vehicles
Mm-hmm.
in 1982, and I believe Charlotte's up to about 245 vehicles now.
A lot, yeah.
And they've done a super job of taking it to higher levels than I could ever accomplish. And but we started out, and I worked in transit after that point up until about '88. And then Carol offered me a position as director of operations for the agency, which included working with other grant programs. And I did that and assisted with transit. And so I was doing both until I left in '95 and went to Tulsa Transit as operations manager for Tulsa Transit. And I was there 5 years. And my wife at the time was offered a position in Fort Worth with Sabre. And I got on my connections horn, and ultimately there was a position in operations with Fort Worth Transit, which was tremendously larger than Tulsa and tremendously larger than Cowboys.
Right.
And it was a union program. They had 600 drivers, and it was over the operational side of the T, which was the Fort Worth Transit Authority.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, there was the Trinity Rail Express, was a joint venture with Dallas, where you could put a train, ride a passenger train service between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Wow.
And that was becoming operational at the time I moved in. So I was there for the inauguration of the TRE, which was exciting.
Right.
And I've got a poster in my office dedicating that rail line. So it was exciting, a lot of hard work and so forth. And we were doing those kind of jobs. That was 2000. And at 2005 is when I lost my family up here.
Mm-hmm.
And we determined to come back. And when I just came by Cowboys for a visit during that time of with my family, and I just came by, saw Tom and Carol, and they got into a conversation. And he said, "You ever thought about coming back to Oklahoma?" And I said, "No, we really haven't, but we've talked about it more since, Mom is by herself now." And Christy at that time, her family was in Tulsa, so it was just logical to look about coming back. We were the only ones in Texas, so all of our family on both sides were in Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Yes.
So
ultimately, you got back to Stigler. You got back to Oklahoma, and you started back as director of operations. Larry, in the early days, like in '81, who were some of the first employees that you had there with CATS?
Rhonda Berry was one of the first drivers.
Who just retired from Cowboy last year.
She worked with us. Joe Griffith was in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
One of the first drivers too was Mary Montgomery over in Photo. So they were still involved with Cowboys until they retired, or So it's like that. I think one of the things that are different with Cowboys compared to then to now is we would wear multiple hats.
Yeah.
I might be director of operations, but if we need to drive a bus, I drove a bus. If we needed to package garden seeds, we packaged garden seeds. At that time, we were dealing in commodities, so we would just help with distribution of that. So you saw more and more of what we call the Cowboys way, of everybody just pitching in and whatever it took to get the job done.
Right.
So now we've expanded and we've grown to a size that it's difficult to do that type of thing on a day in, day out basis.
Right.
And we still have a lot of people that volunteer and will help in a lot of ways, but because of the size of the agency, it's a little difficult to do that.
Well, and because of you being involved with that, being the, cross, like you said, the seeds program and things like that, that has molded you into the director that you are today. And because, I mean, you could be named director and maybe not even know really what's going on within those divisions. And firsthand, even though you're not actually doing direct services, but what those folks are doing out there, what their job descriptions are. And so I think that makes you, or anyone in your position, it makes them a better director and a better manager, that they have knowledge of what the program even is about.
Well, thank you. I think that, again, like I said, we have a lot of people that will pitch in if asked to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the size of the agency, everybody's got their own unique position and they've got responsibility in that realm.
Right.
But some of the, this building we're in today, Tom and I, we run cable up in the attic. Now we were a little younger and could get around, but I mean,
right.
When we were running cable in the attic when this was being built, and like I said, we drive buses. Before we found out we couldn't charter, we were going to football games, and we'd have multiple people that work in the office that would drive a van or a little bus to allow people to ride to a football game. And so we were able to do things like that.
And Larry, that was just a different time, different era.
Less regulations, and the fact is that, and when you're starting out, trying to get people to understand exactly what was going on. Now that's not as big an issue because of the Medicaid transportation and things where people of all walks of life can use that or impacted by transit.
And I remember, Larry, my mom worked for Head Start, for Cowboy Head Start for 10 years. And she drove a bus. Well, it was actually an old, like a Suburban is what it was. It didn't have any seats in the back. They had laid carpet down, and us kids, 15, 20 kids, would sit in that back there, no seat belts, no anything back there, and it's like, my goodness, you would probably go to prison for doing that now. I mean, it's just a different age. There's a lot more vehicles on the road. People, drive faster. I understand all that, but it's just it's different from the 70s and 80s till now on so many levels. All right, Larry. So I know that you're a CCAP, and a CCAP is a certified community action professional. So what year did you get your certification?
2012. No, excuse me. 2008. 2008. I'm sorry. It was renewed in 2012. So,
right.
2008, Kenny Barnhart took the test together in Denver. And
Did you swear you flunked it when you took it? I did.
I think everybody thinks that they messed up certain things, and you know, it is what we do. A lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of rules and regulations that you need to understand, and I think people that are interested in it can, anytime that they want to know about the history, there are a lot of CCAPs in our agency, and we could help them with understand the start of the community action movement and where it came about, and what it stood for back in those days when it was a grassroots effort, and where we are today.
Yeah, I'm very proud that I have gone through that process. It just helps you as a, you know, because we've both dedicated our careers to community action, and it helps us to you just realize what those folks did back in the 60s. I mean, they've gone through some rough times to get us to where we are today. All right, so what do you think, what's the most challenging part of your job? And we're going to go to currently 2021. What do you think is the most challenging part of your job that you have?
I think the fact that we operate over 30 different state and federal programs, and each and every one has their own rules and regulations, and trying to stay on top of every program and keeping people abreast of the changes. And in this day and age with COVID-19 and the things that are coming down with assistance and those type of things, every federal dollar that is awarded for distribution or what have you has strings to it. And you have to, when I say strings, it has regulations and accountability and approval. And a lot of people that are hurting, this is a tough part to me. People that are hurting don't understand that my neighbor got something that I can't qualify for because I make a little more money.
Right.
And we're restrained by the levels of income that we can assist with.
Right.
And so somebody sees a friend or a relative get a help with a past due bill, and they don't understand why they can't get it, but they happen to make a little more money, or they got two incomes in the family, and those are tough, and it puts our staff in a tough responsibility. I do think that one of the areas we are operating today compared to when we when I started in 81, we were in 4 counties. Now we have programs as many as 26 counties. And so a lot of people aren't familiar with what Cowboys is, or it's been around for 50 something years. And so we're into areas that aren't familiar with us, don't know who we are, and quite frankly, just don't understand what our role is.
Right.
So that's trying to get that word out. And that's where you come in our social media and our newsletters and so forth, so that people understand what our role is and how we can assist, and we're there to help. But that's really the biggest difference, is we are just so much larger and so much more diverse in what we offer.
Tell me who, in your professional life, who has been a mentor to you? Someone that comes to mind that you really have, you've set a benchmark for yourself because of decisions that you thought that your mentor, that they would handle a situation. Is there anyone in particular?
Well, I go to Carroll. I think that he has always allowed people to do their job, and he has set a standard, and he doesn't beat you over the head with it, but you want to do the right thing because he does the right thing.
Right.
And I just think from the standpoint of community action, some of the pioneers that have gone on from in the community action world, you know, like Georgine Zachary, Neil Montgomery is a friend, and he's retired and moved on. And some of the people that we've had in the past that set the standards, Jake Civics. I can go down the list as I remember names, but
well, they've inspired you. They've inspired you, you know, to lead the way that you lead, and you lead by example, Larry. I mean, you know, but you also promote self-leadership, you know, and you allow the directors to run their programs, and you're there. I mean, you know, for technical, I mean, for lack of a better word, technical assistance, you know, issues with employees, you're always going to have those things like that. So I know probably, you know, as the directors, I know that they're so glad that they have someone who has their back that they can go to, and you're a great advocate for that.
Well, thank you. I think too is we have strong group of leaders in our programs and in our agency.
Yes.
When you look at Charlotte and Kenny and Linda and I'm going down the list, Tammy and Michael and
Sean,
in our accounting group and so forth. We just have people that understand that we all as a unit are strong and do a great job. And not everyone knows everything about what Charlotte does or what Kenny does or what I do or what Royce does, but every piece goes into making Cowboys the best in the state and the region.
That's right. What do you see on the horizon for Cowboy?
Well, I do think it's going to continue to evolve from the standpoint of, you know, if you just think in the last 5 years with the advent of a lot more online information, you know, electronic contracts, emails, Zoom meetings, more technical aspects to it. And therefore, the workloads continue to grow because, and a lot of it's reporting and so forth. But ultimately, it's getting back to the people that need our services. That's what we're here for, and it's getting a chance to serve them and look for new ways to do it. I think there will be opportunities, especially for seniors. I do think as we all are getting into that age group, people are living longer, therefore they're going to need more assistance as they age. And so I do think that we'll look in different avenues in the future for those type of programs.
And Larry, we're blessed to have a good board, our leadership that, you know, allows us to get the tools that we need, you know, because technology, you think about the last 10 years, it has just gone through the roof. And we have been able to, thank God at Cowboy that we've been able to, you know, have good computers, you know, all of the tools that we need to do these services, we have. And that's helped us to do our job. I mean, we could not operate 30 federal programs if we didn't have our technology. We just could not do it. And so we have a great board, and we have, you know, great, you know, leadership here at Cowboy. I mean, we're the total package. We really are. I mean, I say that. I can never brag enough about Cowboy. It's just wonderful.
Well, we do have a good board. You know, Gene Bass was our board chair for quite a few years, and he retired. And John Cook is leading us now, and they are very supportive, and we're blessed. Just some of the things we've been able to do with technology and with office space. We're building a building in Poto. We've remodeled here in Stigler, which has allowed us to stay open through the COVID, just because of the isolation, a way of having people isolated in their own office
Right.
and mask up and so forth. So yes, they've been very supportive, and we are truly blessed with that.
Wonderful. Well, Larry, it's been a pleasure today to visit with you. I found out a few things. I didn't know that you were in Kansas.
I was.
I didn't know that. So, we
yeah.
worked together for a long time, almost 20 years. And so I learned something about Larry Hall today that I didn't know. Thought I knew everything about you, but we're going to get to know a little bit more about you, because I have some questions here at the end of the interview. I always like to end it with something fun, and so these are a few questions, and some of them are just one word answers, and some of them we may elaborate a little bit on. But anyhow, we're just going to have fun with this, okay?
Okay.
I always say we're not going to reveal any deep, dark secrets or anything like that. We're just going to just go with it. And by the way, all of you out there, Larry is a great singer. He is a great musician. And so I know that that's something we didn't talk about, but we share that love of music.
One thing I will share with you,
Okay.
when I was at Oklahoma State, I did get to work with the Alumni Association, and we would go out and they would do these banquets for juniors and seniors in these high schools. And I was a part of the group that provided the entertainment. And I got to work that year with the Junior Miss of Oklahoma and Miss Oklahoma.
Wow.
And I got to, we traveled together, and, so we had a blast. So, but music, talking to music experts right now in Royce, it's just a gateway to a lot of things. So I do dabble in it a little bit, not to the level of Royce, but I do.
We used to have a cowboy choir, but COVID's kind of put that to, because we like to go to the nursing home and things like that. So
right.
All right. So what would you do with 15 minutes of fame, Larry?
15 minutes of fame.
You had 15 minutes of fame. What would you do with that?
That is a tough one. Go to the Masters.
Okay. Go to the Masters. An avid golfer, I may add also in there. Okay, Larry, what song do you always sing along with? What's your favorite song to sing along with?
Always and Forever.
Always and Forever. Okay, that's a good one. Are you old-fashioned?
Am I what?
Old-fashioned.
I'm a kid of the 60s, so if that's old-fashioned music, the old rock and roll and so forth, yeah, I probably am.
When I think about old-fashioned, though, I think, okay, I like biscuits and gravy. That's old-fashioned, because a lot of kids now don't like that. I like beans and cornbread. Maybe it's just I'm redneck.
Well, that's true, because I like both. Then I guess I am old-fashioned.
Okay, if money were no object, would you be working right now? I know that answer.
Probably not.
And I know you wouldn't say take this job and shove it either, but you would just kind of ease on out here, wouldn't you?
One of the about that is it's sometimes it's difficult to leave a good job.
Yes. We don't want you to go anywhere.
Yeah, but if money was no object, I would probably be gone. Yes.
And I think I know the answer to this next question. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Well, the 60s.
That's right. Okay. You'd be going to Woodstock, right?
I would. I know now what I know, and now what I didn't know then.
How many cups of coffee do you drink a day?
2.
2 cups. Okay. What is your favorite carnival or fair food?
Corn dog.
Corn dog. When was the last time you stayed up past 2 in the morning?
Last New Year's Eve.
All right. Hey, you made it.
I said last New Year's Eve, not this one.
The last one. Okay. You were sound asleep this one?
Yes, I was.
What's your favorite childhood TV show?
Laughing.
Okay. What's the sound you would make if you were freezing cold? Can you speak more than one language?
A little bit of Spanish, not much.
You speak Okie though, like me.
Well, I can do that.
And that's a language all of its own, I'll tell you. All right, one more. Who has influenced you the most in your life?
Oh boy. Somebody that comes to mind is Edith Munn, who was my Sunday school teacher when I was 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And she impacted a lot of us at that age, and just with her wit and wisdom and so forth.
And love. You could see the joy of the Lord in her actions and in the way she treated you. Yeah, that goes a long way toward,
it does.
A smile.
I want to make you feel good.
Well, I'll tell you someone else that's influenced you, and that's your little mama. She's a sweetheart. I'm telling you, she is a great person. I love her. And, I've already said it today. You and I both have been blessed to have good mamas and daddies. And we've been blessed to have a good job here at Cowboy and helping people.
Well, that's a given about Mom. She is, I've heard her feelings and felt about this tall when I did. And, but she's always loved me unconditionally. And I love her to death. And,
yes.
I've been very blessed that she's still with us. And my kids love her, and our grandkids love her. So
Meemaw.
She's Meemaw.
That's right.
To a lot of people in Stigler.
That's right.
So,
that's right. Well,
they may forget me, but people won't forget her.
That could be true. Well, Larry, it's been a privilege and an honor today to visit with you about this and about your career here at Cowboy. It's been a great career, and beyond. You've been Tulsa, Dallas, Kansas. I mean, you're a world traveler here. But I'm so glad that in 2005 you came back to us here at Cowboy. And
it's been a wonderful experience, right. And I couldn't ask for a better place to finish my career at Cowboy. So thank you for having me on.
You bet. Thank you. And I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Royce.
See you next time. Bye-bye.